If you don't watch this video until the end, I'm sure you're doomed to failure. The English army faced the Russian army, outnumbered and with much worse weapons, during the Crimean War. There were about 600 soldiers, mounted on horses and wielding their weapons forcefully, against a well-defended brigade of Russian artillery, all with a very clear order: attack with full speed, only a determined Englishman could have. They jumped on the enemy cannons with everything they had, and most of them died during or after the battle due to their injuries. But even though most of them died, the English army won the battle. Accounts of that battle and the bravery of the cavalrymen made them national heroes and were used to motivate the entire country. One of the nobles of that time even wrote a poem about it, which became a classic, and in that poem, he references what David said in Psalm 23 of the Bible: "Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff they comfort me." Centuries later, this poem served as the basis for a song by Iron Maiden about the same battle, The Trooper, a song that topped the charts in various countries and is even played at English festivals, paying homage to the battle in front of thousands of people. The story of the men who fearlessly threw themselves into the valley of death also gave rise to another practically legendary character, a nurse. A nurse who didn't care whether it was day or night. She held her lamp to see better, closely examined her patients, and took care of them, creating special diets for each one. Because of her work, the mortality rate on the battlefield dropped from 40% to 2%. Her name was Florence Nightingale, and because of her efforts in this battle, because of her research, she became the founder of modern nursing, and her lantern became the symbol of this profession. This is not about weapons or care, it's about legacy. If you take on tasks so difficult that ordinary people feel they couldn't accomplish them, but you never give up on those tasks, you will have a legacy. Even if the difficulty is such that people write a poem about you afterwards, turning you into a national hero. A pioneer in a new way of caring for human life, with your symbol being used worldwide when people talk about your work. That is legacy because, as I said before, a man doesn't die when he stops breathing. He dies when people speak his name for the last time. The stories I told were almost 200 years ago. Their characters haven't died yet. We are talking about them now, so stay until the end of the video because you won't find cheap motivation here. You won't find coach talk or cheap philosophy. Just like I hope to convey in this video, I hope you never give up on what truly matters. But before that, if you enjoy this type of content, please like the video. It's very important for me to know your reaction to my video. Great! Unlike the characters in this story, not everyone will receive so much recognition. In fact, most people will have destinies that are far from inspiring. As Joseph Stalin once said, the death of one person is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic. Do you know the chances of becoming just another person in the crowd? Do you know the chance of becoming just another statistic? To begin with, less than 40% of businesses survive after 5 years. It's as if more than half of the people watching this video are destined to fail and become statistics. About 25% of the population is in debt, and among the reasons for all these people being in debt, 32% is due to basic bills, while 30% is due to unemployment. Speaking of unemployment, almost 10% of the population is unemployed. If you follow the path that ordinary people follow, you will have similar results to those ordinary people. An example of this is the social pressure to go to college, even though the unemployment rate among people with a college degree is almost the same as those without. All these data directly impact other important aspects of society, such as violence or poverty. And are these reasons enough for you to give up? Why? At best, you will become someone who works, pays bills, and nothing more. Why try something if you're going to be stuck in a rat race, where if you stop, the chances of being thrown, falling, and getting hurt are enormous? Why do most people refuse to leave the rat race they're thrown into? Sometimes it feels more like a ramp leading you into a trap. They say the graveyard of losers is silent. After all, songs or poems are not written for them, but the truth is that there are stories about them, both in mythology and in stories that your parents tell you to follow a safer path. For example, people condemned to follow a repetitive, stressful routine, but they have different outcomes because they were popularized by different people. Starting with the rat race, popularized by the investor Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. His solution is to decrease liabilities and buy more assets, meaning to stop spending on necessary things and buy things that put money in your pocket, such as investing in advertisements or buying stocks. Kiyosaki provided the answer on how to escape the rat race, something that I also do on this channel, talking about income, personal and professional growth, and motivating you to earn more and more. If you stumbled upon this channel, subscribe. That's what this channel is about. But you know what Kiyosaki didn't provide? He didn't give you the reason for leaving the rat race. That was given by the philosopher Albert Camus. He said that there is only one truly serious philosophical problem: suicide. Judging whether life is worth living or not is answering the fundamental question of philosophy. After all, what is the value of beauty, music, or sex if we are going to give up, if we feel that we have no reason to push the rock every day? Camus calls this entire condition absurd, but for him, the same ability that makes us question the absurd is what takes us out of it. If we don't have a pre-installed reason in our heads since birth, we have the freedom to create our own why. The absurdity of this reasonless reality brings three consequences: freedom, passion, and revolt. The freedom you gain to create your own purpose, the passion because the absurdity doesn't make the sweetness less flavorful, the art less appreciable, or the sex less pleasurable, and finally, the revolt we have against the absurd because despite it, we get up every day to push that rock, no matter how bad our condition is. The rock doesn't have to be like in the rat race, a job you're trapped in. This why will be your main motivator, even if it is temporary, even if you die without being able to accomplish it. It doesn't matter if you chose an objective like buying a cell phone, defeating a threat to your country like David did with Goliath, or taking care of people like Florence, the nurse I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Beautiful words can motivate you not to give up in the short term, but in the long run, it is purpose that will guide you. It's like Camus says at the end of the book, the very struggle toward the heights is enough to fill a human heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. After all, what would happen if Jobs gave up pushing his rock, or if Pele gave up pushing his rock? And even though Camus and Kiyosaki's methods are effective in helping you not to give up, they are not the only ways. But how can I apply all of this in my life? David did not accept the wheel of the rats. He did not accept the armor because he did not fit into it. And what was the result? The boy who walks fearlessly through the valley of the shadow of death went to face the giant with just a sling, which is like a slingshot, but spinning like a Beyblade. The young David confronted the giant Goliath, so he used the oldest weapon in humanity, a stone. He picked one up from the ground, placed it in the sling, and shot it at Goliath, who fell dead with just one blow. Because of this, the boy gained enough recognition to become a king and be respected by all. For David, the stone was an instrument of victory. People see the message of this story as the need to always trust in God, no matter how big your opponent is. But this story also teaches that you don't have to wear the armor that people expect you to wear. It was by trying different things that tests on traffic emerged, that other programming languages emerged, that videos like the one you're watching right now emerged. If you keep trying the same things, you'll get the same results. And if you persist even more in your mistake, my friend, then no determination, motivation, stone, or purpose will prevent you from giving up. It's like trying to commit suicide by holding your breath. You'll never succeed. In the worst-case scenario, your body forces you to faint, and when you faint, you start breathing again. Sometimes, it's not just about hard work, it's about working smart. So, what is the armor that people want you to wear? Are you really a good fit for it? Are you sure you can't face this battle without wearing that armor or exchanging it for another equipment? What do you and all the people who have built great things have in common? It's not giving up on the stone you chose to roll, trying on multiple armors until you find the right one, and being considerate millionaires in order to escape the rat race. If necessary, we burn ships and risk money in our businesses. But we don't give up, because we refuse to become statistics. However, unlike the army or the nurse on the battlefield, our story has not yet become a legend or a song. That's because our story is still happening, not because our story won't be grand. And that's why I'm sure that one day, I will meet each one of you with the certainty that you won't become a statistic. If you are one of the few who didn't give up, one of the few who stayed with me until the end, congratulations. It shows that you're on the right path, and I invite you to write on the channel. You can subscribe here because you'll see more videos like this. If this video has impacted you in any way, let me know in the comments. It will be a pleasure to respond to you. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you in the next video.